this tutorial, I'm going to teach you what I believe to be the fastest, most reliable, and easy way to teach the behavior drop. I learned this technique, it was about 13 years ago, from my friend and dog trainer, Kate Palese, and since then I have not found a more reliable way to teach the fastest drop and most reliable drop possible. Now, the reason I love this technique is one, you're using errorless learning, so the dog isn't practicing a slow drop where you say drop and then you wait and wait and wait and then the dog thinks, oh yeah, I should drop it. Because what can happen is if your dog rehearses a behavior, it could possibly show up in the future. So in training, if you're making a lot of mistakes, those could pop up again in the future, where if you're training with errorless learning, so your dog is always practicing the right behavior, your dog will be less likely to do the wrong thing, like not dropping the thing at all, or holding on a few seconds or mouthing whatever it is before dropping. The second reason that I really love this technique is that you're building the dog's choice. The dog is offering the behavior and you're pairing a cue to it. So you're not intimidating and forcing the dog where the dog is thinking, I'd rather have the thing, but I better drop it because she said, no, I can't have it. You're making it so that the dog is actually having an emotion of, yes, I want to drop this because it's in my best interest. And you build that cue. Every time you say it, it's in your dog's best interest. And after some repetition, your dog is always going to believe it's in his best interest to drop what he has. Step 1. While the dog is tugging on a toy, put a treat directly to your dog's nose. Click or say yes as the dog drops the toy. Now, in this tutorial, we'll use toys to get the behavior, but if you have a dog that gets extremely excited by toys and not so much excited by food, or if you have a dog that won't even have a toy in his mouth because he just doesn't like tugging or playing with toys, you can do the same tutorial on how to teach drop using a dog's chew bone, and I'll link the tutorial up here. Now, if you have a dog that is not very excited by toys, I suggest the first step is getting your dog to offer tugging on the toy. So tease the dog with the toy. Your dog might not want to play with the toy if you're holding food, so just don't give him any food and just continue to try and get your dog to play with the toy. Then when he's tugging on it for at least 3 seconds, then start to see if you might get your dog to drop the toy. Now, if you have the opposite problem, your dog gets way too excited by toys, don't even start with your dog's favorite toy. Use something that your dog's not really that interested in or something he's never seen before, like a cloth, and you're not going to go ready, steady, get it, because then the dog might not want to drop the toy if he hasn't learned the cue drop. You can do something like this. Okay, take it. Good. And you can see that she wanted to drop the toy for the food. You can use a clicker to train this behavior, but you have to muffle the clicker or use a very soft sounding clicker, because what can happen is as your hands are near your dog's face and you click, it's going to be extremely loud and it could startle your dog. So you're going to get your dog interested, get it. And as they're tugging, you put food to their nose and click the moment you see the dog's mouth opening. Step 2. Add a verbal cue. When your dog is dropping the tug, the millisecond that you put the treat to your dog's nose, that's when you're going to add your verbal cue. So you're going to say your verbal cue, drop, and then move to put the treat on your dog's nose. Now, if you say drop as you move, your dog or your puppy isn't going to learn the verbal cue as quickly as if you first say the verbal cue and then move your hand, because what you're teaching your dog is that word predicts that your hand is going to come, and you're going to create that emotional response of, yes, I want to drop, because it reminds the dog of that hand gesture. Ready, get it. So Wish already knows the cue D-R-O-P, so I'm going to say another cue. So I'm going to say out, and then I'm going to move to put the treat near her nose and click the moment she drops. Out. Awesome. Get it. You always want to invite your dog to get the toy after they've dropped it. Out. Good job. You can also click or say yes and reinforce your dog for staying back away from the toy until you've given the dog permission to get it again. Yes. Get it.
Look, what's this? So then, he's tugging, you can add your cue, drop, and then hold the treat to his nose, and then he does, and you can say yes, and then give him the treat.
Okay.
Step 3. After a couple of training sessions, see if the dog can offer the behavior with only the verbal cue. Then you can say the cue and see if your dog might think to drop the toy before you move your hand. Out! Awesome!
Drop! Drop! Yes! Good job! Ready? Get it! Drop! Good girl!
If the dog doesn't drop the tug within 2 seconds of you saying the verbal cue, I suggest quickly putting the treat to your dog's nose. So at first, when you're training the verbal cue, you can give them a couple seconds to think about it and click their decision to drop the chew or the tug. But later, when they know the cue, if they don't immediately drop the tug, I suggest quickly putting the treat to the nose and getting a quick drop so that you're not building a slow drop in your training. Are you ready? Get it. So say I said the cue out, she didn't drop, I'm going to move and present the treat and then make it easier so that next time she might think to drop it faster. Get it. Out. Good. And her cue isn't out, it is drop. So she just learned the new cue very quickly. If you have a dog that gets extremely excited by tugging, you can teach them to hold an object first. Ready? Take it. And then it's not as fun as when you're pulling back on the object. Then you can teach the drop cue after that and then move on to tugging. Good job, Wish.